Hey Grant, how are you?
Oh man, look at that backdrop.
Yeah, I saw your credits, so I was like, I have to.
Oh man,
So
going
I'm a huge
old
fan.
school. I'm doing well. Thank you. I'll stop talking about your backdrop. Thank you for
Oh
that.
no, no, you're fine. You can talk.
It brings back
Those,
some memories. All good.
yeah, no, I was raised on those films, so it's a really honor to talk to you right now.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure, my friend.
Well, Moon Knight's another awesome project you're working on. So I just wanted to start off with like we've met a couple of Mark's avatars, Steven, Moon Knight, Mr. Knight. There's still one that I don't know if you're going to introduce him this season or a subsequent season. Could you talk about maybe meeting Jake Lockley down the line?
Hey, I can't give you any spoilers, but what I can
Hmm.
tell you is in these 6 episodes, we keep the audience guessing from frame one to the final frame. And I think the future of Moon Knight is wide open, and who we may or may not meet in our series or in the future is a great question. Some of that will be answered in these episodes, and then some of them are for filmmakers and storytellers to tell in the future. But I do think when you see what Oscar Isaac brings to the table in this series, you're going to see that guy read the phone book, do whatever is out there in Mark Spector, Moon Knight, Stephen Grant's world, and what Oscar brings to the table opens up the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this character in amazing ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Oscar, who's amazing in this show, but like he also had some comic book experience like you do. Like he worked on X-Men Apocalypse. So what kind of conversation did you initially have when casting Oscar about what you guys wanted to accomplish with Moon Knight that I don't think he was as creatively fulfilled on X-Men as he was this time around. So like what were those conversations like?
You know what? One thing about Marvel movies, I think sometimes people forget because you get this amazing spectacle and amazing journeys that the Marvel Cinematic Universe takes you on. That sometimes you forget that all the Marvel stories start with character, character, character. And when you start with that as your North Star and that as your compass, I think that's why you get great actors like Oscar Isaac or Ethan Hawke or May Calamawy coming aboard because they realize, yes, this is a globe-trotting adventure. This is an amazing spectacle that's going to be told in the Moon Knight pages. But really, what you're dealing with are characters dealing with very real and supernatural issues that do play out on a grander scale. But I do think when you focus on the character, it gets their taste buds and their creative juices salivating, and I think it becomes a very natural conversation to have somebody like Oscar Isaac come into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. When yes, he's got so much experience doing these movies, but I do think that's what makes these stories unique.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like the Spider-Man films you worked on where like there was no Marvel Cinematic Universe in 2002. But so like now Moon Knight also feels like it's in the MCU, but it's also forging its own sort of corner of the MCU. So was that sort of did that allow you to take more creative risks or did that was that because you never had to like really worry about what's going on in 6 other films or anything like that?
I don't know if it really allowed us to take more creative risks, but it allowed us to get more creative with the
Hmm.
characters, undoubtedly, because we weren't tied to any other narrative. This was Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, Moon Knight, Khonshu's original offering to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it did free us up. We were able to use every frame of our 6 episodes telling the story of Moon Knight. And it's what we got invigorated by in the writer's room, led by Jeremy Slater, and it's what we got invigorated by on the set day in and day out, being directed by Mohammed Diab and Benson and Moorhead. And that was really cool. Just presenting this character to the audience. Well, let's be honest. A lot of the audience are going to be introduced to Moon Knight for the first time on the Disney Plus offering, and we took that opportunity very seriously. But it is also what excited us day in and day out. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's really he's a really cool character. And like I wanted to ask about the villain played by Ethan Hawke, Arthur Harrow. So like who's kind of obscure villain like you I mean unless you're like really digging like you're not going to know who Arthur Harrow is. So was that always the plan for this character? I mean, I don't want to get any spoilers or anything, but it's like was it always the plan for this character to be the adversary to Mark Spector and Steven or was it did you guys ever discuss any like more I don't know supernatural because there's a lot of crazy like with Khonshu and there's a lot of crazy, wild, weird stuff going on. But then the villain is very grounded. So like, what was that like?
Absolutely. Really, where Harrow came from is a lot of, honestly, a lot of amazing, great input from Ethan, but really also looking at the Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, Moon Knight that was emerging from the writer's room. And what was the best B side of telling the A side of Mark Spector's what he was going through emotionally. What made the best, I don't want to say foil to that, but what really fueled that character study the most? And really what came out of it was the hero that you saw in episodes 1 through 4 and that the audience is going to see on March 30th in the episodes. It really came about what's the best villain to play against this incredible character that's coming out of the writer's room.
Yeah, yeah. And like there's a lot of horror influences. I know you worked very closely with Sam Raimi growing up, or not growing up, but like early in your career.
Yes.
Um, and like with Tobey back for No Way Home and Sam doing Doctor Strange, it feels like, and you're doing Moon Knight, and it's like it feels like what's old is new again. And so like, were there like direct like these influences that you picked up from working with Sam that you wanted to bring into Moon Knight?
Well, I'll remind my wife tonight that what's old is new again, and that'll be great. But no, in all honesty, when you work with Sam and you work with Tobey, it's really a lot like working with Muhammad and Benson Moorhead and Oscar and Ethan. It truly is about the character. So whether it's what is old is new again, that's obviously true. But also, I think great storytelling really starts with character. And all these names that we're mentioning right now are storytellers at the top of their game. Sam's amazing, Tobey's amazing, Oscar, Ethan, Muhammad, Benson, and Moorhead. And there's just that commonality of storytelling that I don't think ever gets old or new. If you're telling good stories, it's just part of the plan. And so, yes, there's going to be those natural crossovers. I do think, Moon Knight has a lot of similarities to the Spider-Man movies, but absolutely there's so many unique aspects to Moon Knight that I think whether you're a fan of Spider-Man, whether you're a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, or any of the other great storytellers that have been working the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you're going to enjoy where you've been, but you're also going to enjoy where you're going with this product.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to see what's in 5 and 6. But and I'll kick myself if I don't ask you this. But with Tobey and Sam both back, like, have you ever guys had like a text conversation or even like on the phone or something? Have you ever talked about the possibility of Spider-Man 4 like ever becoming a reality or something else in that original universe?
It's a great question for Kevin Feige and the team at Sony. It's such an amazing property that's being directed amazingly by John Watts. Hey, I'm in love with that property. I was in love with it from 2000 when we started the Spider-Man movies. I am to this day. I'm a fan now. I just want to see where that story keeps continuing to be told.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was incredible. And so I wanted to ask you about like since you did work on the earliest stage when comic book movies were sort of entering the zeitgeist and now like just taking over the entire planet more or less. And so how is like outside of the storytelling aspect, like how is like superhero movie making evolved over the years, like now that when you're making Moon Knight?
I don't know if it's evolved per se. Believe me, as you can imagine, a lot of the tricks and toys that we have to play with just continue to naturally evolve, whether it's CG, all those aspects continue to be honed and getting just incredibly mind-popping, the worlds and the adventures that we can take the audience on. But really, again, it goes back to story, and that's really the commonality. Again, when you have stories like Moon Knight, 1975, when you've got Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Captain America, that go way back beyond that, and you realize the power of narrative, that's really what we focus on. And so I don't know if it's really different or evolving, because when you have narratives that stand the test of time, and we're talking, as you know, decades, that there's something special that originated in the Stan Lee world. And that torch continues to be carried by Kevin Feige and Lou D'Esposito and Victoria Alonso and Brad Winderbaum and all the other great storytellers at Marvel and beyond. And it's really just an embracing of what was created decades ago.
Awesome. And I don't want to keep you too long, but I just want to ask like about the quick of I have so many things to ask you about Kevin, but I'll ask you this final question about where could we see Moon Knight next? Is there season 2, or is it something more like we've met Blade, we've met or sort of Blade and Black Knight, Daredevil, and there's I think a Madripoor reference in one of the episodes. So if you can just, is there another season after this, or is it something that we have to wait and find out?
Where Moon Knight goes from here is a great question for Kevin Feige, the master of it all. But what I can tell you this is there's so many different aspects. There's so many different canvases we paint on in our series, whether it's action adventure, whether it's the character story, whether it's comedy, in all honesty. There's a lot of funny aspects of this. I think this character is teed up amazingly to appear in the MCU wherever he goes next.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait for everyone to see this, but thank you so much for your time, Grant. This has been awesome. Really
Thank you. I
appreciate it.
appreciate it. Thank you very much.